Hello Legacy Sabers, Marsh here. So today we're going to talk about how to solve rational equations. This is day 2, so this is when we have 3 or more fractions that are involved. Now, this is different than you have done before. So don't just blank out and write down notes, okay? This is new, so you do need to pay attention. You want some notes, pen or pencil to do some of those notes, and then the calculator just for some simple math. So, long time ago, when you learned how to solve with fractions, what you should have been taught is that you can multiply every single fraction by the common denominator. So on each of these, I'd multiply by 18, because that would be a common denominator, right? Well, what I could do is cancel this 3 out and make that a 6, cancel out this 18, make that a 2, then cancel out that 18 with that 18. Which will leave you with 6x plus 10 equals 17. This is so much easier to solve than all of that, correct? So looking at the ability to find a common denominator, multiply everybody by it, get rid of the denominators. It removes the fraction knowledge out of these problems. So let's take a look at this example. So I have 1/2 plus 2 over x equals 1 over x. So first thing I need to do is find my LCD. Same thing you did that already. You found a common denominator. So you took each denominator. You did 2. Well, an x still needs to be in there, right? Notice this guy already has an x. I already have that in LCD, so I don't have to worry about that. So what I'm going to do is multiply every single fraction by that common denominator. Then I'm going to cross off what can cancel from the denominator. So the 2 cancel with that 2, this x can cancel with that x, this x can cancel with that x, and now I'm going to multiply by what's left behind. So 1 times x, that gives me an x, plus 2 times 2, that gives me 4, and 1 times 2, that gives me 2. Wow, so look at this fraction compared to that, or this equation, excuse me, compared to that. This is so much easier to solve. I can subtract 4, and x is -2. Now, you do need to check these just like your other problems, the other solvings. You do need to make sure you do not get an extraneous solution. Also, it just helps to make sure you don't get a weird answer. So I'm going to get 1/2 minus 1, right? Because 2 over -2 is a -1. And over a -1/2. Well, a half minus 1, that is definitely a -1/2. So we're good there. Example 1 clears out. This is or checks out. That's the correct answer there. Let's try another one here. So I'm going to find a common denominator first. Well, I got an x plus 1 definitely in there from here. Oh, this factors. So we're going to make that x plus 1, x minus 1. Make that easier on us. So that means I do need an x minus 1 for an LCD. Then this guy has nobody. It's technically a 1 there. So this looks like it's my LCD. So what I'm going to do is multiply every single fraction numerator by that denominator, by that LCD. Canceling out what I can. So x plus 1, x plus 1, x plus 1, x minus 1, x plus 1, x minus 1, and nobody, womp womp, cancels out there. Okay, so let's multiply. 3x times x minus 1, that gives me 3x squared minus 3x equals, well, that's just a 12, right? Well, I'm going to multiply these guys together. That's x squared minus 1. So I'm going to distribute a 2 into that. So plus 2x squared minus 2. Okay, I'm going to move these guys to this side. That way I don't get a negative x squared. I hate negative x squareds. They're just so much harder to factor with. So I'm going to subtract 2x squared, and then I'll technically subtract 10, right? So 2x squared, and then subtract 10. X squared minus 3x minus 10 is equal to 0, it looks like. So now I got to factor this left-hand side. Well, an x and an x will give me an x squared. 5 and 2 will give me a 10. I need a negative 3, so I need a negative 5, right? Because that'll give me negative 5x plus 2x, which is a negative 3x. So I can have either x to be 5 or x can be negative 2. Now let's make sure that that actually works in the problem. So I get 15 over 6 is equal to 12 over 24 plus 2. 15 over 6, that will simplify to, take a 3 out, right? Yeah, 3 will come out of both of them. 5 halves, so that's 2.5, which exactly is what that is. So let's check with the negative 2 now. So negative 6 over negative 1 equals 12 over 3 plus 2. Yeah, that's 6 too. So we're good there. Both answers check out perfectly for us. Let's try another one. So another LCD, immediately look, see that's how I'm starting these problems, is immediately finding the least common denominator. So x plus 1 is definitely a common part of my common denominator. So moving to the next guy, I do need this 2 and this x. This x is not represented in here. This is x plus 1, not just x. So I need a 2 and I need an x, but I do not need this x from this third fraction because it is represented in my LCD. So now in each of these, I'm going to multiply by each of those, each piece of that common denominator, because what it should do is cancel out every single piece of this fraction for me. So x plus 1 cancels with x plus 1, 2x cancels with 2x, and an x cancels with an x. So let's multiply by what's left behind. So 3x times 2x, that is 6x squared, plus 6x plus 6, because I got to distribute that 6 in. And then, ooh, this is, well, the 2 times the 7 is going to give me 14, right? So I'm going to cross those off. 14. I need to distribute the 14 in. 14x plus 14, it looks like, is what my answer is going to be. Let's get everybody to the same side. So this is 6x squared minus 14x minus 14. Ooh, 6 minus 14, that'll be negative 8. Minus 8 equals 0. So now what I'm going to do is try to factor this. Well, first thing I would do, definitely doing that, I'm going to simplify that. I'm going to break that apart there. Take that 2 out. So now I gotta factor that. That's going to be kind of gross. 2 things multiplied to give me 3x squared. Well, 3x and an x are the only 2 things I can think of. 4. Well, I like 2 and 2. Usually that's the easiest way to make 4, right? I need a negative, so I know one's got to be positive, one's going to be negative. So let's check to see. I need to get a negative 4x when I multiply. So 3x times negative 2 is going to give me that negative 6x. 2 times x is 2x. So I have negative 6x plus 2x, which is definitely my negative 4x that I wanted. So now all I need to do is solve for x. That's negative 2/3, right? And that one's a 2 for that one. So gotta check them both. So 3 times negative 2/3, that'll be negative 2. This will be a third on the bottom there. 6 over negative 4/3, and that needs to be equal to 7 over negative 2/3. Ooh, negative 2 divided by a third, well, that's the same as multiplying by a 3, so this is technically negative 6 plus, same thing I can do here, that's negative 18/3, or no, fourths, my bad. And then this is negative 21/2. Well, if I go 6 plus 18/4, I'm going to get 10.5 or 10.5, which this is 10.5. So -2/3, even though it doesn't look like it should work, somehow it does work in there. My calculator proved me right. Now let's check 2. So I got 6. I'm running out of room here. 6 over 3 plus 6 over 4 is equal to 7/2. So 2 plus 3/2, which would be 1.5. So 3.5. Yeah, that's 7/2 too. So that one checks out as well. Notice, guys, this does take a little bit of fraction knowledge. You do have to do some simplification. However, your calculator can do fractions. If fractions are not your thing, I totally get it. Just make sure that you are using your calculator to the fullest extent. If you need help with that, don't feel bad and ask me. I can definitely show you calculator workings. So, last example of the video. Here's what you should do. You should pause right now and try this problem alone. Okay? Once you do that, unpause me, and then I'll go through this example with you so you can check your work. That way, if you get it right, you definitely know you know how to do this. If not, then you can check your work along with me. So pause the video right now. Oh, I don't know if you did. You should pause it. Now, pause the video. Well, welcome back from your math visit. So let's try to work this problem together and make sure we got it right. So I got a 1 on this denominator, so I don't need to really worry about that in my LCD. But I do need this x minus 5. And then I do also need this x. Okay, so we'll multiply both everybody by that common denominator. Okay, there we go. This guy doesn't have anybody to cancel out with. Womp womp. So let's multiply those two together. That is x squared minus 5x. And I'm going to subtract, well, the x minus 5's canceled out. So I'm going to subtract 8x, it looks like, right? Because I'm subtracting it. Equals, the x cancels out with that x. Multiply the 3x minus 15, it looks like. So I'm going to move everybody over to the right-hand side. We're going to get 8 plus 5, which is 13, negative 13. So I get x squared minus 16x plus 15, and that's set equal to 0. So, factor here. X minus 15, x minus 1, right? That'll give us that negative 16 that we're looking for. So I noticed two answers. X can equal 15 and x can equal 1. So let's go ahead and check both answers. 1 minus 8 over 10 equals 3 over 15. Well, 8 over 10, that's 4/5, right? Yeah, 4/5. So 1 minus 4/5 is a fifth, which is 3/15. Let's check 1 now. So 1 minus 8 over 1 minus 5, so that's negative 4, equals 3 over 1. 8 over negative 4, that's a negative 2, so I got minus a negative 2, which becomes a positive, which gives me the 3 I was looking for. So, check. Did you get 15 and 1? I hope you did. If not, check over my work. Maybe I did it wrong. Let's hope not. Okay? But with that, that's the end of this video. See you later, Sabers.